Hello everybody, it's Conan here with quite an update. What do you think of my Ruins splash image? I'm very proud of this, so let me show you how I did it. Right, so I started out with a really basic color palette. This is 256 colors. Well, actually, it's minus a few, but I use this to kind of give it that pixelated look. Then I got some source images. I want desert, so here I am getting that desert, and then I'm conforming it to the palette that I picked out. And I do this for 3 other terrains. I have the desert, and then I have the jungle depicted here. I have the mountains, and I have the rivers. And I did this for all of them. For some of them, I conformed it to the palette and then made it smaller. For others, I made it smaller and then conformed it to the palette based on how it looked. Then I put the images through a neural network, and what I'm doing with this neural network is combining my source image with a destination image, and it creates a mashup. Now, I used an image that is really just very psychedelic and has lots of triangular shapes in it, and that's to make it look like it's a crinkled up piece of paper, make it look painted, that kind of stuff. More of the painted look than the crinkled paper. At any rate, I got these, then I started putting a superimposed letter on top of the terrain. Here I have my R for ruins, right? And then I do an opposite selection, and this is a Garamond font, by the way. I do a reverse selection, kind of clean it up, and I do the same thing for all the different terrains. I had a great idea of what I wanted my image to look like, and I think it came out really close. There is one issue with it, and I think that you probably already saw it. If you didn't, you will see it, because I'll mention it, is the I in the middle. It's a lowercase, right? Which is fine, but the lowercase I kind of looks like a 1, and especially where you have a man standing in it, it looks like it has a certain meaning, and it doesn't. It's supposed to just be an I, so I need to fix that. But that's okay, because this is just preliminary art, just to kind of give me an idea of what I want it to look like, and then I can work on it further from here. So here I am. I have my source images now. I'm just kind of pulling them all together. There's my lowercase I that I was talking about. And yeah, the image is far too wide, but I wanted to give myself a lot of room to work around in. Then I wanted to make sure that they all start at the same base level, so I draw a little line, try to make it as straight as I can, and then line everything up with, well, the line. And again, I kind of worry about spacing between the letters. I really want to make this image look as good as possible. Then I'm happy with the spacing. I'm happy with how it lines up and everything. So it's time to add an actual eye. No, so I use a cat's eye. It's just supposed to be representative of a monster, specifically representative of the boss that we'll be fighting in the game. Right, so I just use a generic cat's eye. I kind of rotate it a little bit, clean it up over and over, really try to make it look as decent as I can, which is a bit difficult. I have never really dealt with source images like this before. Here I go with the rotations. I'm never quite happy with what I see until finally I guess that's the way of art, right? Then I want the man standing in the eye like it's a doorway, so I just use a stock image for that, clean it all up, get it looking the way that I want, and superimpose it. And it's just kind of a little bit of the same old from here. But when I zoom out and look at the image and do kind of my victory lap afterward, here in just a few seconds, actually. Yeah, here we go. You'll see that 1 in the eye, and it's yeah, it really bothers me now. I gotta fix that. Anyway, on to fonts. So fonts, oh yeah, very exciting. So I use the Garamond font. I'm using the Garamond font for my game because I wanted to do some sort of really old-looking font. But if I do handwritten, it's going to look terrible for a pixelated game. But an old printed font will look just fine. That's the theory, anyway. So, I'm using a Garamond print font, and the Garamond is like maybe 300, 400 years old. And I'm modeling my font after what you might see in the Poor Richard's Almanac. And I'll show an image of that on screen. Then, as I work on it, I'm going to, make the font have kind of clear or almost see-through letters at some points, and that's to represent the printing process where the keys, or not the keys, the coins that are used in printing kind of get worn out, and so the letter doesn't press down with as much force and doesn't leave as much ink on the page, and so it becomes a little bit lighter. It's not as dark. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be rounding edges, all that kind of stuff. A lot of work has gone into this font, and I'm very proud of the results so far, but it is not finished. So I can't really show off a finished product at this point. But anyway, let me show you what I've done with my game. Okay, now that I've spent a lot of time talking about fonts and the work that goes into that, let's boot up the game and kind of give it a look. So right here, immediately you'll see tiles, and that's counting up because I have the artery that's going around and building the level. And we'll stop that when we click on this screen. Frames per second, ticks per second, and a zoom level. You'll also notice that my mouse, it doesn't have a big white box around it. My character, he doesn't have a white box around him either. I can zoom in and out, reset the zoom, and I can look around, see what all that artery did. Yeah, really coming along. But there's so much more that needs to be done. Let's find my character again. And he can move around, and he moves around in a grid-based fashion now. So the only thing to do next with him is to link up walking animation with actual walking and do some collision detection. And then after that, I'll be able to start working on monsters and interacting with those monsters and interacting with treasure and all that stuff. So there's a lot more to do, but it's really coming together. It's looking good. This is very basic, very very small. Still a lot to do with level generation, but yeah, it's getting there. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking to you next week.